Robert Browning is considered a Victorian pillar, a second one after Lord Alfred Tennyson, the father of Victorian poetry. Born 1812, died late 19th century, 1889. Here is his photo when he was an old and his style is characterized by certain points. Among them is the focus on spiritual love, which we are not going to see in his poem My Last Duchess, but in other poems this is very obvious. His style is characterized by irony and punctuation marks, which function effectively, as we are going to see in his poem My Last Duchess. And he adopts the hopeful attitude, the optimistic one, definitely because he's a Victorian poet, and like the rest of the poets, they believe that they are social reformers and their poetry should be didactic, so the optimistic tone accompanies their poems, and his poems are special for their psychoanalysis, as he focuses on a dramatic monologue. This technique is used in psychoanalysis. His interest in art and the poem will reveal this. Besides, the human universal touch could be seen in all his poems. Ferrara, the poem 1842. Ferrara is the name of a district in Italy to show that the setting of the poem is Italian. This is her photo. As a summary of the poem is based on a dramatic monologue. The story of a duke who was talking to a messenger from the count, his future wife's father. He killed his ex-wife, which was a duchess, and throughout the poem he is talking to the envoy or the messenger. First he shows him her portrait painted by Fra Pandolf, and he expresses his admiration, definitely reflecting the admiration of Robert Browning himself as a poet, when he calls it a piece of wonder and she looks as if alive. He admires the painter because he painted her with depth and passion, but covering his admiration with a sense of jealousy and suspicion. The moral message behind the poem is the criticism of pride and violence of the Italian aristocratic families, the sadistic spirit of such families as murderers, bitter criticism directed towards such features as envy, suspicion and jealousy, which are represented by the Duke himself. And Browning is attacking violence, physical violence, as it hurts people every time, everywhere. Types of violence which he shows in the poem are three. The first one is verbal, seen in the Duke's harsh words towards his wife. As an example of this, when he says, you thank man as you thank me for my favor, for my gift to you of the name of my family of 900 years. You should distinguish me from others. The moral violence are as seen in such features as pride, jealousy, suspicion and envy on the part of the Duke, and physical violence when he decides to kill her, and a foreshadowing for the future murder of his second wife if she behaves in the same way. There are certain general remarks in the poem, especially with the use of Duchess, which Robert Browning considers as part of his technique in analyzing the psyche of the Duke. For instance, when he describes his wife as having a heart, how shall I say, suppose or short to stop, shows his divided character. He says something which looks like praising, but inside him he is suspecting her, which reveals his doubtful spirit. Also, it reflects the disparity between the kind-hearted Duchess and the proud